the topic or subject matter was enjoying the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit pursuit of your potential. And it may sound trite or obvious when you talk about enjoying consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential, but I'll tell you, it's almost as layered as two words like I am. When I was in the 11th grade in AP English, my professor, had Kierkegaard and existentialism. He starts talking about I am, and as a 17-year-old, I'm like, yeah, I get it. And I think a lot of people, when I say the key to happiness is to enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential, the younger you are, the more you get. And the older you are, the less you get. And so there's a lot of layers to this idea of happiness. And I'll start with a friend of mine, Chris Gardner, who actually did the movie. It's about him, The Pursuit of Happiness. And the idea of happiness stemmed from the idea of attaching my emotions to an outcome in this shift in a paradigm of how we're happy, because there is no pursuit of happiness. Happiness is the pursuit. So that was the first layer of talking about enjoying the consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential. It wasn't we're pursuing happiness, it's how do I enjoy or be happy while I'm pursuing. And there's a ton of scientific research about the biochemistry and bioanatomy of what happens to your body, mind, and soul when you're pursuing compared to when you actually achieve something. And they've done it to great athletes before they've won a gold medal. 4 years, Apollo Ono is a good friend of mine, and I couldn't imagine what it'd be like to train like Apollo Ono #1, because he's a person that does enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of his potential. But to win the gold medal, I would always joke around with him, like I would have been a great speed skater because I have an anatomical advantage. Think about it. Because you can lose, and John Boyle's a famous speaker as well. He went into deep depression, into suicidal tendencies because he lost the gold medal by my anatomical advantage. If he had my nose, it was 0.001 second that he lost the gold medal to. Stanford's amazing guy, everything going for him, good looking, smart, and yet he couldn't survive because he attached his emotion, his happiness, to an outcome. He believed, Chris Gardner, that there was a pursuit of happiness, where Apollo Ono, who won the gold medal, always believed that happiness was the pursuit. And so how do we create happiness in our lives? And as entrepreneurs, it's extremely important. We have one of the greatest entrepreneurs in the room right here. So if you're a young entrepreneur and you want guidance, we're blessed. Jeff Hoffman's here, founder of Priceline, incredible entrepreneur, world leader in global entrepreneurship. And he'll explain to you that the layer of being consistent is probably the most difficult thing. It's the most difficult thing. And the reason it is, whether it's a difficult thing to do or a simple thing to do, is this: even the simple things to do are simple not to do. And so our human mind says, every day sucks. Every day sucks. And that's sometimes the problem with relationships and marriage, right? Is people take the wrong perspective and they can't enjoy consistency every day. And if you want to be successful, you have to enjoy consistency. You have to. Why is that? Because energy has 3 characteristics to it, and behaviors are energy, money is energy. Those are 2 key components to being a successful entrepreneur: behavior and money. And they're both energy. So what are the 3 characteristics of energy? 1, energy attracts like energy. And we have tons of different people that explain this in different ways. I call it aggregation. So good behavior aggregates good, bad behavior aggregate bad. And the human capability is incapable of recognizing or being aware of the progress that's made by good behavior. And this creates a dynamic duality that is always working against you, especially as an entrepreneur. Why is that? Well, I'll tell you. If I would tell you all today, and I've done a few things in my career in marketing, for example. If I could tell you today that in 20 years, no matter what your product, solution, service, or brand is, I could make you the most popular at what you do in the world in 20 years, who here would like that? And if I told you I would charge you $10,000 a year to get there, how many of you think it would be worth that $10,000 a year for 20 years, $200,000 to get there? Here's what would happen. And I'm happy to take this deal because I know it to be true. Is year one, you would pay me $10,000, and whatever your product, service, solution, or brand is, I would get you 2 ambassadors. This is how I built my brand, by the way, so I know it works. Because if I can build a brand as big as I've built with this talent, I know all of you can as well. I love being the lowest common denominator. It's like, shit, Dave did it, I can do it. It's way better than being like LeBron James. You know, that's why Steph Curry is so popular with kids, because when they look at Steph Curry, they say, I could be like Steph. But when you look at LeBron, most kids are like, well, right? It's a big difference. When they look at Dave Meltzer, it's like, no problem. So think about this, though. In year one, you give me 10 grand. I'm gonna use Jeff Fenster, who's one of my favorite entrepreneurs, super successful. He's actually, I call him so young, and he's like, you still call me young? I'm like, you're young to me. And you look young. So Jeff gives me 10 grand, which he does often. And at the end of the year, I have 2 ambassadors of Jeff. Let's take Everbowl, because that's his company. I think they have hundreds of franchises that he sold. Just amazing aggregation. So Jeff gets 2 ambassadors for Everbowl and pays me 10 grand. 2 people that will tell people you gotta go to Everbowl. It's the best tasting acai bowl. It's an amazing place, culture, vibe, whatever it is. And those 2 people are able to get 2 people to come to Everbowl. Now, most people would want their money back after year one. Dave, I gave you 10 grand and I just got 2 people, 2 ambassadors. See, the thing you don't realize is even if you don't get better at articulating the quantitative value to exceed what you're asking for, and it doesn't accelerate, and it doesn't exponentially grow, which are the 3 characteristics of energy, behavior, and money. It aggregates, it gives you an exponential outcome, and it accelerates. All 3 make us more capable of seeing the results. Even if it didn't do that, I have now proven that he will be the most popular acai bowl in the world. Why is that? Now, most people, after year one, anyone want their money back if I got you 2 people for 10 grand? Good. Thank you for being honest. Because a lot of people are like, oh, no, I won't take money. Yes, you would. Trust me. People have asked for a refund for far less than that from me. And so I know, right? I'm serious. There's no way that most people want. So here's what's worse. You give me, some people just have faith in Dave Meltzer for whatever dumb reason. Year 2 comes, I now have 4 people getting 4 people to come to Everbowl. Because I had the same formula. I'm just getting 2 new people to get me 2 new people. How many people would ask for a refund after 2 years and you have 4 people? Let's be honest, right? Even Jeff, who trusts me now, maybe, would ask for his money back. How about year 3 when you have 8 people getting you 8 people? Remember, we're not talking about exponentiality or acceleration, which is usually the common occurrence of energy, behavior, or money. It aggregates, accelerates, and compounds in its outcome. So we're talking about dependent, stable data and variables. You're just doing the same thing. You're not learning. You're not getting better. It's not getting what normally, I'm going against physics, in other words. So imagine now you have 16 people who wants their 10,000 back. Then you have 32 the next year. Now you have 50 grand in and 32 people. Nobody would be around. My business would fail. In fact, I've offered all of you this deal, and most of you are sitting there still telling me, Dave, I'm out. But you already told me one thing that's interesting. When I said, who would give me $200,000 to be the most popular acai bowl in the world? All of you like, well worth it in 20 years. But there's something about perspective that doesn't realize that good behavior creates an instant result. It's just, we can't be aware of it. What's the instant result? Good progress. Progress of aggregation, acceleration, and compounding of outcomes. It's the why hockey stick. Here's the saddest thing. Because of the way this works, in year 18, you would be 25% of the way there. You'd have $180,000 invested, but you would only be 25% of the way there. Let me give you a different analogy that helps picture this, because I know this concept is extremely important to enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential. Not someone else's, not what's missing, not what you don't want, what you want, what's valuable to you. Why is it so important? If I told you I had a lily pond and it had one lily in it, and same thing, every year, 2 to 4 to 8, in 18 years, the lily pond would only be 25% full. So the human perspective says, shit, that's 18 years, man, I want my money back. My pond is only 25% full. And whatever percentage is left, 99% of whatever percentage is left would quit. Regardless of the investment, they plain had it. Here's what's even sadder. The next year, of course, it doubles. So now in year 19, with the promise in year 20 that your pond would be full, that you'd be the most popular soluble company in the world, in 19 years, you're only 50% of the way there. And of that 1%, 99% of that 1% would quit. It's just human belief and psychology. We can't see past what energy does. Behavior, good behavior, bad behavior, and money. It does the same thing. And so another 99% of that little tiny percent will quit, and they're almost there. Everyone's heard the Don't Quit poem. If you're a real entrepreneur, it's on my wall still, right? It says, just when you think, don't quit. That's why. Because you can be 25 or 50% of the way there, and you're actually almost there. That's why you need to enjoy the pursuit. Because in that 20th year, you get to 100% of the way there. In the 21st year, 200, 22nd, 400, 800% of the way there. Most people are not willing to enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of their potential. And it has a duplicative resistance to it. What do I mean by that? See, when we do good behaviors, and I'll use dieting because that's my favorite one to say, people that diet, they diet and they look down on the scale and they don't see a result. So they quit. But the instantaneous result of dieting one day is progress. If you have proper nutrition and exercise, a diet, you will have a positive result day one, but you won't be able to be aware of it. Now what happens? The opposite true. So when we have a positive behavior, we expect an instantaneous result that we can be aware of. You're getting an instantaneous result of progress in a good trajectory, you just can't be aware of it. This is a duplicative resistant because what most people prefer to do is bad behavior for the very same reason. I'll give you an example that's heartfelt for me is most people know my background that I did not have great behavior when I was young. I could make a lot of money, but my behaviors weren't in a trajectory where I think I wanted to be or better, and I had bad behaviors. I partied all the time, surrounded myself with the wrong people, the wrong idea. 20 years ago, Nick Cavuta, well, he was there, but people like Jeff Hoffman were not flying across the country to be with me. It wasn't the same they weren't aggregating, compounding, and accelerating with me, right? So why is that so important? One of my friends from my 30s that used to do the things that I did, I ran into a month ago. And he was intoxicated at the time, heavily. And I said, man, Richard, you gotta slow down. He's 55 years old like me. And he said, slow down, Dave, what do you mean? Look at me, I'm healthier than you. I said, no, you weigh less than me, but that's not indicative of health. Right? You drink so much so you don't eat as much as me, but you're not healthier than me. Problem is I have spent a lot of money on my health and I get it checked all the time. I know how healthy I am. I know where I can improve in my health, but I spend a minimum of an hour a day in good behavior towards my health. I know how healthy I am. You're not healthy. No, look at me, man. I've been partying so long, nothing. Why? Negative behavior, we don't expect a result. Why? Because it takes so long to aggregate, compound, and accelerate. So same thing in business. You think you're cutting corners, taking shortcuts. You think you're not doing what it takes. You're going the extra mile every once in a while to justify why you're not where you want to be, instead of going the extra mile every day to create the aggregation, compounding, and acceleration towards what you want. And so what happened to my friend? 2 weeks after I saw him, Mr. Healthy, this will never get to me, my bad behavior, I don't see any difference between me and you. Died. Didn't wake up. We live the same life, him and I. Same elementary school friends. The difference is 17 years ago, I made a commitment to enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of my potential. I stopped taking for granted my behavior and my money. And because of that, I'm in the position that I am, and so can you. If you understand the 3 characteristics of energy, physics, quantum physics, and metaphysics will tell you that energy aggregates, it compounds, and accelerates. There's no 3 better characteristics of a successful life, either business or personal, than to aggregate the right people and the right ideas, to aggregate the right behaviors, to accelerate them and compound the outcomes that you want through that behavior. Only spend minutes and moments outside of it. You're human, you have an ego, you have fears, fear of the past, fear of the future. You can spend minutes and moments, but not days, weeks, months, and years, aggregating and accelerating and exponentially creating results that you don't want. Because you may be, and may not even know it, 50% of the way there, which takes 90% of the effort, right? 19 years to get to there. All right, I have 2 minutes, is that right? Yeah, 2 minutes. All right, so see, it's like I'm just gonna talk for a couple minutes. I'll take Q&A. Shit. I do this for a profession, really. Anyway, I have time for one question about the idea. We have a stage and studio upstairs. We'd love to continue the conversations as well, but I'd love to answer one question before I left that anybody has about this topic, about the progress of happiness and how to achieve fulfillment, purpose, passion, and profitability, like a lot of us in the room have already done. Anyone, real quick? Yes, sir?
So when, with this scenario with I'll make you the biggest in 20 years, so that's a model that you actually have.
Yes, right. So if you do the math, by the way, in year 20, you would have 2 million ambassadors, getting you 2 million more people. Yeah, I built my brand in 6 years that way, because beyond, I gave you an example of stable data where nothing accelerates or compounds. So my goal, when I met Gary at Super Bowl 6 years ago, I literally didn't know that. I knew AJ, and I was working on the sports agency with him. He walked into the Nike suite at the Super Bowl and someone said, "Hey, Gary V's here." And I said, "Who does he play for?" And AJ laughed at me and he goes, "You don't know Gary?" And I go, "What's a Gary V?" And he goes, "My brother." That's how little I knew. And when Gary asked me to build my brand, I said, I need 2 people. 2 people that will tell everyone, watch his TV shows, his podcasts, hire him to speak, read his books, have him coach you, go to the free Friday trainings he's done for 23 years. And those 2 people that I got, it took less than a year, have now been millions of people getting me millions of people.
And so I'm wondering, when that 20 years hits, what happens?
You double it again. You go to 200%. Yeah.
Nobody's okay.
Once you learn how to enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential, you can swap out your potential. You can make different life decisions, and it's an infinite amount of possibilities, probabilities, and perspectives. And so it is a course of understanding, one, how do I give meaning to the lessons, the mistakes, failures, setbacks, defining moments, historical references of my past, in line with where I think I want to be or better. And so a lot of people don't take the time to give the meaning of their past to help them get. They usually take the meaning of the past to stop them from getting. And then creating daily practices, consistent, persistent behaviors that are in the pursuit of their potential. All right, I have to wrap up. I appreciate all the V friends that came and also the D friends that came. We appreciate you so much. I'm more than happy to help you. We're right upstairs. We have 2 stages. I answer questions. Email me. You can write it down, david@dmeltzer.com. I answer all my own emails. Thank you very much.